Welcome inside the Treehouse Football Podcast. Oh, wait. I didn't say it properly. The Treehouse Football Podcast. Not really sure why I started saying it that way, but I feel like I'm stuck and I'm just going to keep doing it. It just feels right.
It's pleasant. It makes me chuckle every time.
Oh, thank you, Raj. So again, thank you for joining us inside the Treehouse Football Podcast. I'm Dan O'Malley, along with Trey Trenholm and Raj Sharma.
You know, you do football and Friday like that.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we'll have to try the F-bomb.
Had the Cowboys lost to Carolina, you would have heard it. Along with all its other friends.
Or maybe on the Plus show, we can just have the appearance of the jovial F-bomb.
Yeah.
Because it's the uncensored, for the Patreon listeners, it's the uncensored Treehouse.
It is. Show. Treehouse Uncensored inside the Treehouse Plus program, which you can subscribe to, patreon.com/Treehouse on air. Of course, you get the free football version right now. And of course, the regular shows, the regular episode, and of course, the Friday shows, all wrapped into one tidy treehouse. We like to keep things kind of neat around here on occasion. But there was one F-bomb this morning, and that was when I woke up and I saw that, unfortunately, it's the Philadelphia Eagles and everybody else, because they managed to beat the Chiefs on Monday Night Football in Kansas City. And yes, I was really, really hopeful that the Chiefs would knock them down a notch, but instead it really does appear to be the Eagles in the top slot, and everyone else is kind of clamoring for second. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. I was having dinner at Whiskey Cake and watching the game, and it was great. I watched the first half, and I was like, there we go. Got to the third quarter, and I was like, there, you know what? All they got to do is a little time management, run the ball, kill the clock, a classic standard, drive it into the ground, easy to do. And I went from Whiskey Cake to what the F? I went from Whiskey Cake to and I came home and I turned the TV on. I was like, Did what happened? I live 8 minutes away from Whiskey Cake. I'm like, what
happened, Raj, is you went from Whiskey Cake to what Trey and I know as Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Yeah, I was, and then they had the one possible moment, that one bit of hope when Valdez-Scantling almost caught that. I think it was a 60-yard pass or 45-yard pass, something like that. And it was in his hands. And, you got to, whatever it is, maybe a bit maybe overthrown because he had to stretch out for it. And then the weather conditions, it was slick. And then after that, they just kind of melted down. And I was like, okay, I'm good. And I blame this squarely on Taylor Swift.
Oh, interesting.
Because she wasn't there?
No, not that, because during the bye week, our buddy and romantic tight end Travis Kelce flew to Buenos Aires to attend the Taylor Swift concert, and that's a 13-hour flight each way. So
I'm sure he wasn't going coach though. So
no, I'm not. Hey, listen, my friend, I've traveled coach, I've traveled first class, business class, and I have traveled private. It's still tiring. It doesn't matter how. It's still 13 hours at a time difference, and then spent the day with her, and then the concert, and then the next day, and then flew out. So on their bye week, he spent 3.5 days to almost 4 days traveling and attending a concert.
I'm glad you brought this up, because when I saw Travis Kelce at the Swift concert in South America, I immediately thought of Tony Romo, Jason Witten, and often forgotten that Bobby Carpenter was also there. The bye week, or not the bye week, but the off week that the Cowboys had, because they had a first-round bye in the playoffs, and they spent it in Mexico. They went to Cabo with their women. And then they promptly lost in that divisional round, and everyone blamed their lack of focus and all that because they took a trip. And I wondered, is Travis Kelce going to face some of the same criticism?
He as well. I mean, and again, it's not even criticism. It's just it's just what it when you travel like that, it is what it is. It is third. Like when going to India, I've done it on Emirates coach, and I've done it in Emirates business class. And business class Emirates is just they might as well just build you an apartment.
Yeah, I've seen those on YouTube.
Yeah,
That's not fair. There are apartments in New York smaller than those seats.
Yeah, yes, and there's a full bar and there's a DJ.
And I'm also pretty sure that coach on Emirates is still better than most airlines business class.
Yes, it is. It's wonderful. That I mean,
and you get the prospect of Jennifer Aniston popping out of the shower.
Yeah, that is true. And like they have the showers, and then there's one. I think there's one that goes in New York to Dubai that has a 3-bedroom apartment in it. That is like $29,000 or $30,000 each leg, per person. So I've done that, but it's still when you're going to India, when you get there, the time difference. You've slept, but you're sleeping on your schedule. So it doesn't.
Your contention though is that the travel must have played a role, and that's why the Chiefs lost.
But there's not a lot of basically same time zones, and that's not that big of an issue. I mean, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
What do you think's harder, that or if he and the boys took a 3-day trip to Vegas?
The same. You're just
okay.
you're still. I mean, it has nothing to do with the concert. It's the exhaustion from travel, and then you're an elite player, and you're coming back into an elite sport. So you went from like, oh, fun. I'll hop on my private jet and I'll sleep the whole way. That's the thought. I'll sleep the whole way.
It's funny that you think he's got a private jet. You know damn well it was hers.
Oh, that's well, or he rented, or he borrowed Patrick's.
Maybe that was it. So then my question would be, what do you think was more tiring for Travis Kelce, the flight to and from South America, or the sex with Taylor while he was there?
Yeah, both. And then you have the air quality because she had to miss a concert, I believe, or there was I think a fan got injured or died or something like that, and they had to postpone one of them. And then there's the air quality issues. Like she was on stage at one point, like she was having trouble breathing. And so you have the air quality, you have the travel, you have the as much sex as you can. And then if you're trying to regain your strength, I'm sure the food is great, but it's still, you're eating internationally. So you have to adjust to that. So you don't know what gastrointestinal issues Travis Kelce was facing. And Mahomes in that press conference afterwards still looks like he hasn't recovered from the flu. And I'm serious. He looked exhausted. And so I don't know where he went in their bye week. Like nobody's covering him anymore. It's the Kelce Swift era now, and nobody's covering him and old Brittany Mahomes. Like there's. So
are we going through this whole thing just to rationalize that the Eagles aren't as good as they actually are?
I think Raj is.
Okay. No, I'm just trying. It just boggled my mind how they just kind of fell apart, and they looked decent in the first half, and then got completely shut out in the second half. And
that's why I asked the question: is it the Eagles and everybody else? Trey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Until someone can show otherwise, I think that is the case. Go ahead, Trey.
I'm at the beginning of the season. After first 2 weeks, I think Eagles and the Dolphins may be the two best teams, and I'm not really shying away from that because the Bills are kind of a miss. Yeah. Like Bills, Chiefs, and the Dolphins seem to be the three that one of them is going to come out of the AFC. But right now, after the Cowboys game on Sunday, I was sitting here thinking about this. We're 10 games in. I still don't know jack crap about that team. I can't figure out if they're good or they can be really good and they've just had some bad games. I don't know. I know the Eagles for the most part look really good week in and week out.
And I think what you've done there, Trey, is you hit the nail on the head for pretty much every team underneath the Eagles, because you have a number of teams in that similar win category. Bless you, Joel. You've got the...
That was a dog?
That's what a 15, 16-year-old dog sounds like when he like hack sneezes.
Wow.
It's also amazing. Coincidentally what I sounded like after the Cowboys lost to the Eagles.
Yeah. I thought somebody's
But
grandpa was visiting.
you do have a few teams in that same sort of vicinity record wise. You got the Cowboys, you got the Seahawks, the Dolphins, like you mentioned, Trey. There's San Francisco, obviously. And I think a lot of those teams are still trying to figure out exactly where they are. They know they're better than most everybody, but they're trying to figure out, okay, can we get better enough to where we could actually do the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, it is uh, not taking anything away from Philadelphia. They look incredible, and that comeback was amazing. And they did exactly what I was trying to tell the Chiefs to do. It was like just kill the clock. That's all you got to do, and they did an excellent job of that. But yeah, it is. I think you guys are. I think Trey's hit it on the head. They're very. I think I don't know what it is, but what it appears to me is like they psych themselves out based on media hype, right? So it's like, can they beat the Eagles? Can they beat the Niners? Is this going to like? Is this going to be a repeat of last year? And then they get there with all the confidence that they've had from a previous win or a bye week, and everybody's as healthy as they can be. And then they come in, they're like, I don't think we. Just the look on their faces, like they start off like they're in an uphill battle when they should just level the playing field and start from there at every game.
Now,
And
granted,
bring
I know the both outcomes were blowouts, but I am somewhat optimistic at the beginning of the last two games against Carolina and against the Giants.
Mhm.
It's not like the Cowboys took that opening kickoff at that opening series and marched right down the field and got a touchdown. Both were not successful, right?
right.
And they didn't let that get to them. And sometimes I feel like that does. Like if they don't get out to a quick start,
Right.
then they seem to have that deer in headlights
That's
look
what
on
it
their
is.
faces. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know if we can do this today. It's like, my God, you're going to have at least, like 10 more possessions in this game. That one didn't work.
Yeah.
Go figure it out for the next one.
And
Yeah.
that was, if you going back to last week, that kind of fragile psyche is why that on that first drive going for it on 4th and goal, I was like, just take the points because you don't know how that's going to affect that team.
You're right, Trey.
But
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe McCarthy needs to treat these grown men, professional athletes, more like the little giants, and realize that if they don't do well in that opening series, they can get kind of tantrumy, not like an angry tantrumy, but just like sad and wanting their bankies and things because
yeah.
things didn't go exactly as they wanted to, and they don't really seem to know how to respond.
I think that's the problem. I think we need angry tantrumy, not, give me your binky in a bottle.
Yeah. That's
You
the
want
that's the
fists pounding in the end zone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the thing that I was talking about. The I don't know what when they say he's got it, whatever it is. Like Aikman had that. I never saw it in Romo. I never saw him with that it factor. I think Dak does, but he's like they're all his buddies, and he doesn't want to yell at his buddies. And it's a very Gen Z millennial, whatever you want to call it, where it's like I don't want to yell at you, man, but please do your job. It'd be greatly appreciated. Like that's the kind of stuff that comes across. It's like I want
Instead, it's a passive aggressively liking other wide receivers catching balls in the end zone.
yes, that's what it is. Like it's hey man, it's nothing against you. It's just I got to give him a chance too. And you're like, come on, guys, we're all athletes. We're all making millions of dollars. Let's stop. But it is that deer in the headlights look. I was trying to figure out what it is, but it's like they get lost, and it's even in Dak's eyes. Like I want to see that. I want to see like what can't remember which game it was, but Aikman was not happy, and I don't know if he just didn't get enough to drink during halftime or whatever it was. Like, but he threw his helmet. I remember one time threw his helmet across the bench and started yelling at the offensive line, and I was like, "Hey man, that's awesome, but you're way outnumbered and they're way bigger than you." Like, and then he knew how to light a fire, and I haven't seen anybody since then that
Now
has
you're talking
been
about
able to do
Aikman.
that. Yes,
Now, in his defense, and this is something you always have to remember,
yeah,
is in a lot of his years, Aikman really that was pre-salary cap, and if Aikman really wanted to, if he really had a problem with somebody, he could go to Jimmy and say cut him, and they would cut him.
yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah, but he still had that, like it. He still had the thing where he could go.
Tom
Hey,
Brady's
I
the
need to
last
cut
quarterback
him.
I've seen really have that where absolutely irate, chewing his lineman's ass, chewing everyone's ass. You just don't see that much anymore.
I
And
mean,
you know what?
I've
And
seen
maybe
Jalen
it
Hurts
really,
do it.
and maybe it is generational,
Yeah,
because it is the difference of, we were all brought up like, kind of, you learn from failure and it makes you want to not do it again. And
yeah.
everyone else after us is like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah,
Get them
I
next
joke
time.
I joke about it all the time when I do the when I talk about the playing, on stage, when I talk about playing football. I was like, this generation, like, who told me I sucked? My coach. Like, that's who told me I was terrible, and I was like, f that guy. I'm gonna go back into the gym tomorrow and work harder. And
Yeah.
that's what it was. It was a big fu. And I don't see that. It's like Tony Romo's the all shucks thing. Like whenever he throw an interception, like, oh darn, I'll get it next time. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like, what? They're paying you millions of dollars. What are you doing? It's kind of a weird combination
I,
of
I,
the two. That is Dak, where he doesn't. He's got the drive and he's got the intensity, but like he can't get that to his teammates sometimes.
I think Romo was different in that Romo had that mental attitude of, like, if Romo ever started really taking it seriously when he threw an interception, then I think he would have fallen apart. I think that was that Brett Favre gunslinger attitude of, you know what, you're going to miss some of the shots you take, but we're going to still, keep taking them.
I mean, you look at his quarterback rating, and it was one of the best in the NFL of all time. I mean, there's no doubt. But he just didn't. He couldn't get to the. He couldn't get to the dance, and that's the thing. It wasn't like it was. Well, we did our best this season. We looked good,
The
and we're
crappy
going to come
thing,
out
the
next year.
team Romo, I think, could have, like, was that year he got injured and Dak took over. That was the team that I think,
Mhm.
if he had ever had a chance to make it, that was the team.
I feel like if for Romo Cowboys seasons, there were 3 that really, really should have gone differently. One is where he broke his back in Seattle, and Dak was like 4th string at the time, 3rd or 4th string, and then he gets the opportunity and it never gets back to Romo. That's one.
Mhm.
Because you're right, that team was built. This is Romo's last ride. The one before that, I believe, was a 2014 season, the Dez caught it game.
Catch.
Everyone remembers that game because it's Dez caught it, Dez caught it, Dez caught it. Had DeMarco Murray not fumbled it earlier in the game, he would
Mhm.
still be running in Green Bay. He would have taken
Well,
that possibly to the house, and it would have been a different game. Even if he just doesn't fumble and gets tackled 5 yards later, it's a different game. And then the one before that, the Giants divisional round loss, when it's Patrick Creighton drops the pass from
Mhm.
Romo that would have been a first down, and instead he drops the pass, incomplete. Giants get the ball back, game over.
Yeah.
Those are 3 things, and it's obviously way off, from us talking about, is it, the Eagles and everybody else. Well, we've kind of answered that. Yes, it is. And then we're back to wondering, can the Cowboys? This is what, in essence, what we've been discussing the last 10 minutes. Can the Cowboys make that leap to get to that threshold where the Eagles are? And honestly, we're going to find out in just a couple of more weeks, because they got to come to Arlington.
I think this week, the Thanksgiving game actually may provide some clarity, because Detroit's not a bad team.
No, they're good.
I mean,
They're looking
and
good.
And
I think
which makes me glad I'm not playing them, because we're playing Washington.
oh, that's right.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry about that.
We have Detroit in December, which could be bad
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
Why did I think? Never mind.
But yeah, I mean, when you talk about just dynamic players, like Dak is great, but CeeDee Lamb is dynamic. Turpin. Every time there's a kick return, I'm looking at him like, is this the one that goes to the house? Like, he's a dynamic player, and I just wish they had more moments of that where they can showcase other people on that team that are superstars that can could elevate the game to where it needs to go. I would love to. It's just like what Trey was saying. Is like, I can't figure it out. Sometimes one person does, and in the next game 3 people do, or 4 people, or 5 people, or it's a
what we need?
complete effort. Yeah.
I realize what the Cowboys need. They just need what you're saying, Raj. Like, Aikman had that edge, that he could motivate his guys to another level. That's what the Cowboys seem to need, because we haven't seen it from anybody, right?
Right.
We don't see someone really getting in that ass. And what they need is someone to scream at them and threaten them and to make them feel like their jobs and their lives are on the line, I nominate Trey Trenholm. I feel like he could do it.
Thank you.
And here's the thing: you can put that play sheet in front of your mouth all day, and it ain't gonna matter. Everyone's still gonna hear it, and everyone's gonna feel it.
You're just gonna see the vein in his head stick out. You're like,
and the players on the other side of the field, they're thinking, "Man, I'm glad we're over here."
Yeah.
I would
He's
coach
saying
for a day.
Why is he saying punt so much?
Yeah, we know that's not what he's saying.
You're listening to the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
Why is he calling them the punt team on third down?
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
Welcome back to the Treehouse Football Podcast. So now that we know it's the Eagles and everybody else, the question mark is still, are the Cowboys good or not? Which is not a new question. That's something we ask every stinking year and have for 30 years. And this is another one of those seasons where we're not going to find out until the playoffs. At this point, assuming they're making it, and we'll see what happens. But if history has taught us anything, it's that they'll cough it up either in the wild card or definitely the divisional round. But we'll see. Maybe this year will be different. It's clearly the definition of insanity. But that's kind of what it is to be a Cowboys fan. All that being said, now the Cowboys are in it. They're in that Thanksgiving gauntlet. They come off the win in Carolina. While impressive, it's still against, at the time, a 1-8 Carolina team against a rookie quarterback. So it is what it is. We'll take the win. We'll take it with some style points and go into this week, a divisional matchup against Washington. And Washington's sort of in that tier just below the Cowboys record-wise. Although I think emotionally they're in an even more sensitive state than they were a week ago because they just lost to the Giants.
Yeah, that was an interest. Like I was actually in San Marcos when I was watching the game with a buddy of mine, and his girl is a Washington, a Giants fan, and I was like, and she was trying to tell me she was wearing cowboy blue, and I'm like, that's not that's the same blue. And she's like, oh, I just want to tell you, I'm from New York. I was like, okay, and Giants fan. And she kept checking the score, and she was laughing. I was like, what's going on? She's like, we're beating the Commanders. And I was like, no, you're not. Stop it, silly. With Danny DeVito or Derek DeVito or whoever it is.
Oh, I like Derek. I think that's better. Who's the quarterback this week? Derek.
Like, whatever his name is. I don't know if his mom dropped him off in time for the game. I don't know what's going on. And then she was she's like, well, let's get another round of beers. I was like, okay. And then turns out they win like with this guy. And I'm like, all right, man, good. And here's the only thing I could think is like, good for that kid. Yeah. He's gonna have so much to talk to his parents on the way home. Like,
here's the thing. That was actually a road game. So what I think happens there is Tommy DeVito not only gets driven to the airport by his parents, by mom, but then I'm assuming they have to check him in with the gate agents as part of the minor traveling alone program.
He's got this little name placard around it. He's gonna get a little tour of the cockpit.
Yeah, he's gonna get the little souvenir wings because the pilot let him sit on his lap and asked him if he liked gladiator movies, and then gave him an extra bag of nuts, and then finished the trip to Washington, where he looked actually pretty darn good and beat up on the Commanders, and then gets put back on the plane with the minor traveling alone assistance.
Yeah.
And maybe he gets ice cream on the way home after mom and dad pick him up from the airport.
You know, I mean, you can still. Maybe mom and dad rode with them on the train from New York to DC. Like you can still do that, and maybe they went sightseeing. They went and saw the the
You
White
know what?
House.
I actually know. I know the backstory. I actually know the whole story on that. He was not able to go sightseeing with the rest of the team because his parents didn't fill out the permission slip. So
Oh man, poor
they
kid.
just left him.
He's too young to understand anything anyway, so it's okay. Poor fellow, but he won a game. So good.
He did win a game. So again, now we get back to Washington feeling extra low because they got whipped up on by a minor traveling alone, quarterbacking the Giants, and now they got to go on the road to Arlington on Thanksgiving and face the Cowboys, who are coming off of how much I've off the top of my head, I've brain farted now how many points they've scored in like the last 3 weeks. But I mean, it was what 40 the week before. You got 33.
33, and
So I
then
mean, 100 points in the last couple of weeks.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's going to be. Again, I'll predict it's going to be a blowout again. It just is. They lost to the Giants, and they were coming in with that energy, and we 100 points in the last 3 weeks. That kind of
Yeah.
energy, and I think that makes a world of difference. And you're going into like what Trey was saying. Like now we have to figure out how do we look going into these last several games, and what team are we now? And so I think that's what this game is, like Trey was saying. This game is what we'll see and go, oh, okay, yes, they can do it, and they can take on the Eagles when they come home, when they come to Arlington, or not, and you can kind of go, you know what, it was a good season. You can see what they're going to kind of do, but I think it's going to be a blowout for this one. So it's going to be fun to watch. It's gonna
Turkey definitely tastes better on a Cowboys victory Thanksgiving.
It does, and I got mine for a dollar. So my dollar turkey is going to taste as an Indian is going to be even great. This is the best Cowboys and Indians Thanksgiving ever, because my dollar turkey is going to taste like $1 million when they win. So it's going to be nice.
That does make you wonder though, like the kids that are like halftime football, are they are they still? They're probably not doing Cowboys and Indians anymore because it's not PC, but are they actually going up? It's Cowboys versus Commanders.
What is a commander? Like, I don't understand. Like, what is your mascot?
Well, my problem is when they renamed themselves the Commanders, I was knee deep in watching Handmaid's Tale. So that was really a poor choice of mascot.
Yeah, nobody filled them in on that one. Okay. Yeah, I just I don't even know what their mascot? I don't even know what that is.
It's a commander.
Do we know what it is? Honestly, does anybody know what their mascot is?
I think it's a guy.
Just a dude. His name is Steve Commander. Hey, what's up, guys? How are we?
You laugh, but it may actually be something like that. I'm not sure. I am not up to date on NFL mascots. I will freely admit that.
Yeah, I mean, but you got Lions, we get it, right? Seahawks, okay, you're a bird. Falcons, Commanders, like I can't figure out. It's like that, like the Guardians. Like I think that's named after a bridge. Like the Cleveland.
You know what?
Guardians?
Actually, I was putting too much thought into it. They really didn't do much of a new mascot other than the Commanders' new mascot is Major Tuddy the Hog.
Major Tuddy.
Major Tuddy the Hog.
Major Tuddy the Hog.
Little hat tip to the old Hog offensive lineman back in the day for the Washington Redskins.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Major Tuddy the Hog. All right.
Does that mean he has a hat?
He does. He has headwear.
And there you go.
He has headwear worn by actual military commanders.
They went extra far to be PC. Like they went the farthest you could. Like he needs a hat.
Thank you for your service. I'm going to put it on a pig.
This is all funny now, but if the Cowboys lose to them on Thanksgiving, I'm going to throw up everywhere, all over. It's going to be Thanksgiving all over the walls.
Yeah. I will never eat Thanksgiving again.
No, actually, you know what? I will. The difference is, though, I will be switching out pig for the turkey.
It's a pulled pork Thanksgiving.
Apple in his mouth, hat on his head.
Because it's got to be official. All right, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like my pregame is ready and concluded, and I am now ready for Cowboys Commanders. Take that, Fox NFL pregame show. Be sure to follow any and all things Treehouse, treehouseonair.com, at Treehouse On Air. Tell a friend about the Treehouse Football Podcast. We'll see you on the next version of the show, which is the Friday show coming up. See you next time in the Treehouse. Go Cowboys.
See ya.
See ya.